Hey guys, Roman Reaper here. So, 2022 is about to come to an end in a few days, so, I figured, why not, enjoy the end of the year with, yep, the yearly ranking. So, this is my top 10 best films of 2022, plus a few honorable mentions. I hope to maybe also get a worst of the year list because there were some stinkers I watched this year, and maybe a most anticipated for 2023. Who knows? But for now, here is my top 10 films of 2022. First, let's get into the honorable mentions. Okay, so my honorable mentions for 2022 are as follows: Belfast, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, Cha Cha Real Smooth, Elvis, Boiling Point, The Woman King, and Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Now, time to kick off the top 10 list good and proper, starting with number 10. In at number 10 is, well, kind of a high profile one that surprisingly went a bit under the radar, considering some of the talent involved. The Prime Video release, of course, I'm talking about Ron Howard's 13 Lives. What a film this was. This was, an incredibly thrilling dramatization of a fairly recent event. Like, I remember when the stories like breaking out about this football team in Thailand trapped in a cave. At around this point, the World Cup was on, so it was probably because of all that hype that I don't really remember how the actual story ended out. But watching this film, gave me a very clear, picture of how things went down, and helped me to understand how successfully the mission went. And it's also a very complex story with political implications and moral and ethical considerations about the immense undertaking. And it's just a downright thrilling cinematic experience. The cinematography and the sound design just really put you in the middle of this, and it's so immersive. As complemented nicely by great performances from Viggo Mortensen and Colin Farrell. If only this had been released in cinemas instead of being dumped onto Amazon Prime. Seriously, I'm still livid about the fact that MGM slept on this. But anyway, that's just how it is. And talking of being slept on, in at number 9 is Rian Johnson's Glass Onion, the sequel to Knives Out. And this is going to be huge for Netflix, I guarantee that. But man, the fact that they have not taken any box office from the limited 1 week cinema run this had, is baffling, because they're missing out on millions upon millions. Like, the screening I was at for it was packed. This is another proper crowd pleasing experience, and once again, Rian Johnson does it with flair. It's another. In fact, this time around, the mystery is bigger and more complex. Like, the actual mystery doesn't even come into play until the halfway point. And even then, the first half, it's still a lot of fun spending company with very likably unlikable characters, ranging from Edward Norton as genius billionaire Miles Braun to Dave Bautista as hyper masculine influencer Duke Cody, who lives with his mother, to even Kate Hudson's character Birdie J, who's a former model who has a habit of doing and saying questionable things that get her cancelled. It's delightful company, and the film leans a lot more into the comedy element. But but Rian Johnson just doing what Rian Johnson does. He delivers a complex, subversive, satisfying mystery with surprisingly clever commentary, much like he did with the first film. Roll on Knives Out 3, and all I can say is Netflix, you better be counting the money this next one makes if you're giving it a cinema release. In at number 8 is one that people in the comments will probably whinge and say, oh, well, why is this in here? This is a 2021 film. With my list, I can do whatever I want, besides this released in 2022 in the UK. Anyway, so what I can do. I'm talking, of course, about Paul Thomas Anderson's Licorice Pizza. Now, the funny thing is about this, I actually didn't watch this at the cinema. I missed it when I was playing at my local cinema. But I did watch it on Blu-ray several months after, and what I saw, I absolutely loved. It's just a really lovely, like, just easygoing sort of slice of life. But it's also one of those, films where nothing happens, but actually quite a lot happens. It's a fairly complex story of, teenage actors, waterbed empires, and a sort of unconventional boy meets girl kind of story. Oh, and did I say it's really, really, really funny? Because it is. It's absolutely laugh out loud hilarious, and it's complemented by a eclectic soundtrack of late 60s, early 70s hits, including, among others, The Doors, David Bowie, and Paul McCartney. And it's a really warmly, vibrantly shot film on 35mm with vibrant, warm colours and gorgeous backlighting. It's just a it's just an all round great film. Weird age gap aside. In at number 7 is a film that was at a point my number 1 of the year, but it has dropped down quite a bit since, always because so much good stuff has come out. But in at number 7 is the only comic book movie you will see in this top 10. Thor: Love and Thunder. No, of course it's the Batman. Just this is a brilliant, brilliant film. It's a 3 hour long, slow burn murder mystery in the vein of something like Seven. But it never feels like, it's just a cheap copy of Seven. Matt Reeves brings his own unique style and vision to the world of Gotham City, and it is just stunning to behold. The filming all around the UK in places like Liverpool and Glasgow, really lends it this believably sort of gothic look, and it's got this gorgeous color palette. It gives it a real sense of grit, but also makes it feel like it's something coming out of like the pages like a modern glossy DC comic. And it's all topped off by the odd sprinkling of thrilling action scenes, a cracking soundtrack by Michael Giacchino, and of course, the the use of Something in the Way, and a cracking performance from Robert Pattinson as the Caped Crusader. He's not just the vigilante Batman that all the other films portray him to be. They lean a lot more into the detective side, and it works really well. And I also really liked Robert Pattinson's almost vampire-like presence as Bruce Wayne, sort of skulking in the shadows. Like, He's not the Bruce Wayne we know and love yet, but there's still time for that to happen in sequels. You know, whenever they actually greenlight the Batman 2, but it'll happen. In a number six is, well, the film I saw last at the cinema. I haven't been to the cinema since, but I do want to see this one again in 3D. Yep, Avatar: The Way of Water. What an experience this was. Like, wow, wow, wow. James Cameron truly is a master of his craft in this regard. Like, the CGI is, done to perfection. See, this is exactly what happens when you allow VFX artists time to get the product finished. You get like incredibly detailed, incredibly realistic, incredibly immersive CGI, like what this film has to offer. There's not a single bad shot. That's complemented wonderfully by the, of course, the trademark Avatar bioluminescent colors and vast epic cinematography. And of course, coupled with extremely compelling, likable characters led by once again Jake Sully up against villain Miles Quaritch. There we go. Proof that you can actually name characters from the Avatar films. And once the action happens, it is a in the final act. It is a properly thrilling crowd pleaser that had me, that had heart racing, hit me right in the feels, and genuinely at one point made me actually go, "Oh fuck!" There's some properly brutal violence in this, and yeah, as I said, I'm looking forward to seeing this again in 3D because hopefully I can get an even better experience, the way James Cameron intended. Into the top five now, and kicking off the top five is one that I was not expecting to end up here in a million years. It's not a major Hollywood film. It's not even in English, but it's one that rather surprisingly got a ton of momentum around the world for just how like jaw-droppingly insane the absolute spectacle of it is. I'm talking, of course, about RRR, short for Rise, Roar, Revolt. Well, what is there to say about this film that I haven't already said? It is an absolutely outrageously ridiculous spectacle, taking in everything from leopards being thrown at people to motorbikes flying through the air with grenades to all sorts of insanity involving bows and arrows and just all manner of just wild pyrotechnics you can imagine. It, it is perhaps the biggest spectacle of the year, right next to, of course, Avatar and an entry in the list that I can't mention yet, but you probably already know what it is. And it's funny. There's so many like like sort of jaw on floor moments. It's it's got real heart to it with the friendship between Raju and Beam, and it's got some like totally like unexpected musical numbers, which in any other film would feel totally out of place. And it's just one of those films you kind of have to see to believe because it is so much just infectious fun. Like, if you haven't watched it, check it out. You might just love it. In at number four is that other big spectacle of the year that I can now actually mention, Top Gun Maverick. What an experience this was. You can make fun of Tom Cruise all you want, and his weird cultism with the Church of Scientology, but there is no one that does does blockbuster entertainment quite like him. Uh, like how much he is willing to put his life in harm's way for the sake of our entertainment is absolutely commendable, and that once again continues here with with the practical dogfights shot in actual jets. Obviously, there probably is CGI there, but you just won't notice it because it's implemented so well, and with the focus obviously being on the actual practical stunt work, and because of that, what you have is just a proper thrill ride of a film. It is just you know obviously it's got the callbacks, Highway to the Danger Zone, a bit game of ball on the beach, Great Balls of Fire on the piano at the bar, rest in peace, Jerry Lee Lewis. But goddamn, this just stands on its own as a just thrilling, like nail biting spectacle. Obviously, Tom Cruise isn't in danger, but because we know what we're witnessing is real, like, it makes it that much more gripping and suspenseful. And it's all, and it wouldn't be anywhere near as engaging as it was if it wasn't for the incredibly likable cast of characters who, you become incredibly invested in. Obviously, Tom Cruise back with Maverick, with doing the Tom Cruise thing, but with a bit of age and maturity, and he's accompanied by the wonderful supporting cast of including Rooster, Phoenix, Hangman, Bob. They have all real natural chemistry, and it's what makes it that much more like you know, riveting to watch. Because we want to know if these characters that we've become invested in will make it out okay. Yeah, this is currently the highest grossing film of the year for a reason. Like, there's just like audiences wanted a thrilling experience, and Tom Cruise delivered. Into the top three now, and in at number three is a long time passion project for a revered filmmaker that has finally seen the light of day on Netflix. And looking at the end product, you can really see all those years of passion. And I'm talking, of course, about Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Wow, 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 wow. I loved this film. It's just so like it's just such a lovely film. It put a huge big smile on my face. It's funny and it's heartwarming and emotional. It's got musical numbers which surprisingly fit with the film, given that Del Toro contributed to the lyrics. And it's got great characters. David Bradley giving a very heartfelt, gruff performance as Geppetto. Gregory Mann as a very mischievous but good-natured Pinocchio. Ewan McGregor as Sebastian J. Cricket, very funny, and Tilda Swinton doing otherworldly magical work as the wood sprite and her sister Death. Well, it is a Tilda Swinton performance, so as it's got very like surprising diversions from the original source material. Notably the inclusion of Mussolini and an allegory for fascism, and some properly like emotional diversions which pay off wonderfully. But above all else, this film is just stunning to look at. The stop motion animation, the level of handcrafted detail, all the little imperfections and little like natural details, just it is an absolute feast for the eyes. This is like the only version of Pinocchio you should watch this year. In at number two is a truly fantastic film which really should have done better. I'm talking, of course, about The Northman, which was actually filmed across my local Northern Ireland. So yeah, this film is a big deal over here. But man, this deserved to do so much better at the box office because wow, this is a properly soul-shaking spectacle of a film. It's got copious amounts of brutal Viking violence, plenty of blood and guts being spilled. It's got a really properly like hard-hitting, pounding score. It's got gorgeous sweeping cinematography capturing the beautiful Northern Irish landscapes. Well, Northern Irish, they're obviously meant to be like Nordic, but it was Northern Ireland they were filmed in. So, and some properly like surreal visuals, and I just properly primal and aggressive performance from Alexander Skarsgård as Amleth. He is just such a like an intimidating, imposing presence here, and he's our hero. Like you do not want to piss this guy off and get on his bad side because hell will rain down on you. Let's just say, and matching him is Cleese Bang as his uncle Fjolnir, who is a gay, a properly ruthless bastard who's also quite noble and honourable. And we've also got Anya Taylor-Joy as Amleth's love interest Olga, and they go into some very like interesting and weird territory with their relationship. Obviously not weird in a creepy way, weird in a sort of like interesting and surreal way. But when this film ended, I had to take a minute. The credits were sort of like the sort of calm down you really need because it left me shook and I could barely speak leaving the cinema to actually articulate my own thoughts. But yeah, if you haven't already, watch it, especially if you love Viking history. This is primed for you. Before we get down to the number one pick of the year, I just want to do my trademark special mention. Which I picked one film I saw for the year that that deserves a special shout out, and I see if I hadn't seen my film choice, this would easily have gone to something like Prey or Bullet Train or Violent Night, or hell, even the new Scream. Instead, this is going to I Used to Be Famous. This is just such a lovely, lovely film. It's incredibly funny with real heart and a properly like real like chemistry and friendship between our two leads. Sure, it's a fairly familiar, well-worn path, and sure, there are some threads which kind of feel underdeveloped, but this is just such an infectiously joyful film, thanks to its cracking soundtrack created for the film, and for how it represents its autistic co-lead Stevie, played by Leo Long, who is a actual neurodivergent actor making his debut here, and this is what got it the special mention. I myself am on the autism spectrum, and when I read about the film is about an autistic drummer, I was curious to check it out, see how it handle that, and I needn't have worried because they handled it with like incredible sensitivity. Yes, he has like sort of autism traits. Like he's prone to like panic attacks, and he hates like loud noises and big crowds. But he's also like an incredibly passionate and gifted musician that he also wants to have that passion fully realized by going to music college. As it's an incredibly three-dimensional like portrayal, portraying him, as an actual human being and not just as, a walking supercomputer in human skin. That is why my special mention for the year is I Used to Be Famous. Give it a watch on Netflix. It'll put a smile on your face. And now, for the main event that you have been waiting for, number one. And in at number one is a film that I've truly never seen anything quite like, and one that I'm so happy that I was able to check out on the big screen, and I'm so happy it actually showed near me. It's a film that just, hit me at all emotions. It was funny, it made me gasp in just sheer disbelief, it was like emotional, and it was above all incredibly inventive and thrilling. Yep, I am talking, of course, about Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. God damn, I loved this film. Like it's just it's an incredibly inventive multiverse story, because while yes, it is a multiverse spanning story where we see incredibly weird and bizarre images, including an hilarious riff on Ratatouille. It's actually a surprisingly intimate story set in a single location, following an aging Chinese immigrant who never quite led the fulfilling life she thought she was going to, and to save the multiverse she has to tap into other alternate lives where she did. And it's obviously a story all about existential nihilism, and that feeling of insignificance and how nothing you do is meaningful. But it's also a multiverse spanning story that sees a man jump into a tax award trophy to use as a butt plug, and sees Short Round from Indiana Jones fight a bunch of security guards with a fanny pack. And can I just say, right, this film makes you feel all kinds of emotions just from a single scene of two rocks without any actual spoken dialogue, just subtitles that appear on the screen to represent dialogue. It starts off really funny, like, haha, look, it's talking rocks. But then it actually, then makes you feel, real, real emotion. It gets real tragic, real fast, and all of that is within the span of a single scene. That is exactly why Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is my number one film of 2022. I need to rewatch this. It's on Amazon Prime Video in the UK, and it's not been released on Blu-ray in the UK for some reason. So I really want to get it on Blu-ray, so I might import it. But if you have not seen it, you must watch it. You're in for something truly unique. And yeah, that is my top 10 films of 2022. Let me know down in the comments, what's your top 10? And also let me know down in the comments, what films are you looking forward to for next year? Don't forget the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Don't forget the subscribe button if you are new. And don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload.